Welcome back to You Are Your Business podcast. And I'm super excited today to be chatting with Jennifer Jane, who I've known for a bit of time now because we've met through many different events through the social snippet and some of their high vibe women events that they've had. But Jennifer is a brand strategist, a visibility architect, and an AI solutionist who helps female entrepreneurs grow their audience and attract aligned clients through powerful messaging, personal branding, and smart systems. You're speaking my language with the smart systems. So she is the founder of the Femmepreneur Collective and the co-creator of Enchantria, a business growth ecosystem blending strategy, automation, and magic. Jennifer teaches sustainable visibility that does not require you being online 24/7 and believes success should be aligned, intentional, and a little enchanted. I love that. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks for having me, Amy. I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. So,
Yay.
let's kind of dive in for our listeners. How did you even get started in business? Like, what even like brought you to? You have like a multitude of so many things that you're passionate about and able to support, but like, what even got you on this journey to begin with?
So how much time do we have? Because I have an origin story.
We've got time.
Okay. I'll give you like the medium version of this.
Okay.
So I've always been a crafty, creative, clever little girl, and have always had. I didn't know it, but I've always had like a passion and an interest in running my own business. I'd never really fit in like I didn't like doing like the teenage customer service or restaurant jobs, but I did them because I had to. But like as a child, my mom told me this story one time, and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so much like who I am as an adult. But I was like 4 or 5 years old and I colored a bunch of coloring pages in a Disney princess coloring book and then I cut them out and glued them to like cardstock or construction paper or something, and then I
Yeah.
was selling them as original art to the neighbors
Oh
for
my God,
$20
that's
in like
amazing.
the mid 80s. So I've
Oh
always
my
been an entrepreneur, right? Like who knew? My mom made me give the money back, by the way. She's like, it's not worth $20. And like a couple people snuck me $2 just to like, because they
God.
felt bad.
Just to like, yes.
Yeah, a budding artist needs to be, taken care of. But like my grandma taught me to be crafty and creative and taught me how to do like craft shows. And I was doing craft shows with her when I was like 12, 13, 14, young and like impressionable. And I loved it. I fell in love with the idea of like creating something and selling it to people who really appreciated it as like something that they loved or was creative or crafty or artsy or whatever. And then in 2011, the beginning of 2011, I met an American, a cowboy from Texas, fell in love really, really quickly, threw caution to the wind, and yeeted my life from Canada to Texas in about 6 months. And when I got there, because I was Canadian living in America, I couldn't just like go find a job or like start doing whatever. There were some hoops to jump through, right? So I was like, I'm hella bored. And I had been saving and collecting ideas around like DIY and crafts and things to and recipes, things I wanted to try when I knew I was going to have some time on my hands. And those were all from blogs. And so I was like, well, if they're telling stories and sharing recipes and crafts, why can't I? And there was no reason I couldn't. So I just did. And I started a blog and started sharing my journey and what I was learning as like a newlywed and taking an extreme bachelor home and actually making it, well,
Yes.
a extreme bachelor house and turning it into a home and doing all of these projects. And lo and behold, you can make money doing that. Who knew? So we're talking 2011. I launched my blog, and by 2012, I was making good pocket money with my lifestyle blog, doing reviews and projects and stuff for brands. And then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I have to go on vacation, and I have this sponsored content that needs to get pushed out. Could you like live tweet for me?" Because there were no scheduling platforms, there were no options for like preparing things and saving them to go out. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I got nothing else to do." Well, fast forward a week, she came home and she loved not having to think about her Twitter and her Instagram so
Yes.
much that she's like, "Can you just do this forever?" And I was like, "Okay." And so I accidentally fell into being a virtual assistant. She started referring people, the people that were referred to me started referring people. And by 2014, I had a full-time, almost set six-figure social media management agency. And by 2017, I had taken it full six-figure full service agency
Wow.
and was like one of the first people using the term social media manager. 'Cause I
Yep.
was like, "I do not assist you. I manage you, and we create this together." Well, I have a knack for creating really good content and seeing content opportunities that people don't, right? Kind of that forest for the trees thing, and I can take a
Yep.
step back and really see the bigger picture and the strategy and where there's opportunities to tell better stories and
Yeah.
tie those stories into other content that already exists. And so in 2020, when the world was imploding and also my marriage
Yep.
was imploding, and we also got hit by a tornado, talk about a
Oh my God, you
trying,
got to oh, there's your 3 things right there,
right?
right? Like, oh my
Right?
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
The COVID and then the tornado kind of were the impetus for the third thing. But I
Yeah.
realized I was actually kind of not happy. In fact, I was rather startlingly miserable and a little bit afraid of what the future could be if I stayed in this relationship.
Yeah.
Narcissists are gonna narcissist.
Yeah.
And so I extricated myself from that situation. I made a series of really intentional choices, got really reflective, and dove really deep, like really, really deep on my core values and what I wanted to create for my life and what I was willing to sacrifice in order to create the dream. And so I had this moment in kind of like the middle of 2020 where I was like, okay, you know, you're not happy, but you have a
Yeah.
lot that does bring you happiness or joy. But like overall, there's some shit that needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
Is that worth staying for? Or do I do the hard thing and go after what I know has infinite possibilities and a life full of like beauty and joy, sacrificing what I know for the scary unknown? And I
Yeah.
decided to go for the unknown. And I walked away in November of 2020 and came back home to Canada, and I shuttered the agency. I brought like 2 clients with me so I could have a little bit of income just to keep
Yeah.
my bases covered, and started my life from scratch, but on a fresh, pristinely built, like very intentional foundation. And
Yes.
yes, it was traumatic. Yes, it was crazy. Yes, it was a lot. But I look at it as a gift because most people in their late 30s do not get to be like, you know what? I'm going to walk away and I'm going to do everything differently, but I'm going to do things differently on purpose. And I had that opportunity. And so I knew I didn't want to go back into social media management. I didn't want to reopen an agency. I wanted to help people be more strategic in their life, in their business. And I really wanted to change the conversation around what why do we have to be business owners first and not humans? And
Yeah.
like really having more conversations around core values and the influence they should have on our business and our marketing and how we
Mhm.
relate and connect to people. And then talk about business, right? Life
Yeah.
first, core values as a foundation, and then where does business fit and integrate? Because our businesses should fit into our lives, not our lives into the cracks of our business. Which
Absolutely.
was like the hustle culture of 2020, 21, 22,
Yes.
right? Where it was like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do all the things and I'm going to be freaking awesome and rich. Except that we sacrificed everything: physical health, mental health, like
Abs
emotional health,
Well, and I think
relationships.
so many people come from corporate and then they go from the corporate hustle into the entrepreneurial hustle and don't know any difference. So then you're
Yeah.
again now working, 60, 80 hours a week, trying to create this business to fit into your life. And like you bring up such a good point. And I've even had this reflection on my own life in the past 2 years of like how I was creating a business around my life. And it's like, no, no, no. I left corporate to be able to create a business that fulfills me, but also so I can be doing what I want to do with my family and having family and lifestyle first, as opposed to like always business first. So
Yeah.
it's such a huge shift that happens when you have that realization as well, too.
Well, and for most people who are coming from corporate, now my story is different. I didn't come from
Yeah.
corporate. I kind of came from I got nothing to do.
Yeah.
But for everyone who comes from corporate, like you're so used to there being bookends to your day, right? Like you
Yes.
walk away, it's off your brain.
Yep.
As entrepreneurs, our brains never turn off.
It never
And we're
stops.
fully responsible for the success or failure of everything we're doing. And if we have a team and people that depend on us for income, like, oh my God, the pressure. And so
Absolutely.
we sacrifice all of these things to go to chase this new entrepreneurial dream. We trade
Yep.
corporate 9 to 5, 2.5 kids, white picket fence, American dream
Yep.
for what we're told is like 6 figures, bikini, laptop,
Lifestyle on the
lifestyle.
beach type of, yep, totally.
Ew. Just
Yeah.
you. Not everyone wants to be on a beach in a bikini with their laptop. Now, if that's your dream, if that's something that like brings you joy, no shade.
Absolutely.
That is not me. I don't like sand. I have ranted about sand many places, many times. Sand goes
Yeah.
places it should not be.
There you go. Yep.
I want to be in the mountains. I want to be
Yeah.
hugging trees. I want to be rescuing dogs. I want to have foster dogs and a pack of dogs that I couldn't live without, so I kept all of them. Like that's my
Yeah.
dream.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, like you were talking about a bit earlier around like your core values. So, like aligning your core values with your business. And so, like you said, if someone wants to go on the beach and that's where they're being called to, great, that's your core values. You're building your business to be able to do those types of things because that's what brings you joy, not because the internet's telling you to live on a beach. So, like the content I've been more drawn to a lot lately is like, someone loves horses. So they're like showing in the middle of the day. I think it was Laura Sinclair. She's showing in the middle of the day that she's like on her horse, like going and enjoying her day as opposed to like being stuck at her desk. Like she has that time freedom, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's such an important value for people to realize too.
Yeah, and if it's something that you want to be spending your time doing, you should be scheduling that in first, right? And then
Yes.
building systems that allow that to feel good so that you don't feel guilty that you're walking away from work in the middle of the day, right? Like I've been dealing with some interesting health challenges. Like I've
Yeah.
had a chronic illness for 20 years and, kind of have that figured out, but there are now
Yeah.
some complications from that after 20 years of
Yeah.
dealing with, crap in my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which now means that like I was telling you before we started recording, I had x-rays and blood work and all of that was before 9:30 this morning and like I'm toasted. Like it's 10:30 in the morning when we're recording this and I'm ready for a nap as soon as we're done
Yeah.
chatting.
I
I
know.
have that flexibility and the freedom because I built that into my business.
Yes,
I had to.
absolutely.
I had to build a business that allowed me to be able to rest and be flexible and to not feel guilty when I had to make very strategic and intentional choices to honor what my body is putting me through.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
having that flexibility means now that I deal with less feast and famine in my business.
Yeah.
There's less like a lot of content, no content, a lot of content, no content,
Right.
because I can be more consistent because I've built strategies into my
Yes.
business based
Well,
on my
and
core
also your
values.
nervous system too, because when you're in that constant like high and low of the dips all the time, like your body's shot as well
Yeah.
too, and your nervous system, because you're like, oh, great, oh, down. Like it's that
Yeah.
constant
It's
roller
hard
coaster.
enough not knowing like where the doctor's office is and what building and how far I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
walk and right like there's a lot of anxiety around the unknowns of just dealing with like life and medical stuff. And
exactly.
then you throw in like, am I gonna be able to pay my rent this month? Like holy cow, like talk about just absolutely dysregulating. And as entrepreneurs, so many of us, especially as female entrepreneurs, we work
Yeah.
really, really hard at creating safe spaces that allow us to like nurture and regulate and take care of ourselves more and more every day. This is a common conversation and I'm so grateful for it
Yep.
because I went through what like 8 years of entrepreneurship with no conversation around like regulation or self-care or like managing
Yeah.
stress. It was just like you gotta chase, you gotta hustle, you gotta bro market your way through the downtimes
Right.
and just like force it to happen. And I did. I achieved some cool stuff. Like I was able to retire my ex-husband. I hit
Yeah.
six figure. I set a goal to hit like a financial figure so that I could retire him in
Yeah.
August, and I had put December as the end of the deadline, and I did it at the beginning of November, like hit that milestone. So like you can for a season put all your energy into creating whatever it is that you want, but you have to
Yes.
recognize it can only really be a season. We,
Yes.
especially as women, are not built to like non-stop hustle. We can go hard and we can push and we can do hard things for seasons. Like I I laugh and I commonly tell myself, you can do anything for 6 weeks. Like
Totally.
in a 6 week, like you can do anything for 6 weeks and you can push and fight and go
Yeah.
after it for as hard as you want, but 6 weeks is the cutoff. It's not happening at 6 weeks, then you need to rethink your strategy because
Right.
I know my limits.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things about being almost 43 is I've learned a lot from mistakes.
Yeah.
So we don't
You've got
push
the
past,
experience from it.
yeah,
Okay,
few
so
things.
you said, 2022. So like how did you get into like the AI part of things and as well as like becoming a brand and visibility strategist? Like where did
Yeah.
that all kind of come in throughout your journey here?
All along my entrepreneurial journey, I have really loved the idea of like putting together plans and strategies and helping my clients, even as a social media manager. We worked really hard to like map out what they wanted to be known for. What
Yeah.
was like the bigger picture of their brand so that when we talked about content creation and we talked about like community building and social media management, we weren't just being like, yeah, you have 5 posts this week, or you had 10 posts this week, or you went viral on this random thing. It was all very strategic. So there's always been an element of that to who I am. When I moved back to Canada, I leaned really heavily into, I thought I was going to be a coach. Like that was the thing I
Yeah.
was
Well,
chasing.
that was kind of the thing that was the common buzzword I felt like
Yes.
for a while too, right?
Yes,
So,
but it
yeah.
was a label that never felt comfortable to me. Like it was
Yep.
like putting on shoes that were 3 sizes too small and like
Yeah.
had a heel that just killed my ankles.
Yeah.
It was just very uncomfortable, but it was the only thing I knew to call myself. And what I was
Yeah.
doing was I was doing deep dives on core values. What does it
Yeah.
look like? What does it feel like? Where does it show up? What's the impact? And how do you want to map this into your legacy? Like what is the bigger purpose? And I was really working with heart-centered,
Yeah.
passionate entrepreneurs who were looking at bigger picture and impact. And so we were talking about like, building the lines in the sand and understanding the non-negotiables in their life so that they could put those non-negotiables into their business. And along the way, I realized that core values are not just something catchy that you do as part of a branding process. They are foundational to branding. They are the most key part of any sort of brand you're going to build. Now, when I say brand strategist, I don't create your logo, I don't pick your colors, I don't tell you what your aesthetic should be. But what I
Yeah.
do is help you build that foundation of knowing what your brand is meant to represent so that you can clearly
Yeah.
communicate that with a brand creator who
Yeah.
is going to then turn that into something visibly beautiful. Because if you start with a logo and colors and you don't understand what you're creating, you're going to end up rebranding, you're going to end up hating it, you're going to end up switching and changing, and there's going to be a lot of whiplash around what you're building, not
Yeah.
just for yourself, but for anyone who's paying attention.
Well, and it sounds like you're doing more the internal, where
Yes, a
then
lot more the
they're
internal.
passing it on to have like the external because again, it goes back to like it starts with you
Yeah.
and how you're feeling, and then you can bring that on to the outside and that reflects too. So,
Yeah. And as a part of the brand strategy, when I do this, we start with core values. We spend 6 weeks picking apart your core values and going what I call
yeah.
molecular to the point where you can clearly, in one sentence, bring directly into being, like embodied into your body, your
Yeah.
core value. So you need to tap into abundance with like a single sentence or one like visualization practice. You can pull your whole body there and
Yeah.
raise your vibration because you know without a doubt the nuances of what abundance as a core value looks like and feels like in
Yeah.
your body. Because if we can't embrace that vibration on a physical level, we are never going to know when we're tapping into it in happenstance or life or existence, right? We
Yeah.
we chase success as a thing that we're told is like, oh, this is what success looks like. This is what success should feel like. My version of success is decidedly different than your version of success, as it should be. And
Yep.
your version of success is going to be different than the girls from Social Snippet, right? As
Yep.
it should
Totally.
be,
Yep.
because we're individual, unique humans that have a very specific mixture recipe
Yeah.
of what makes us uniquely magical. And that unique magic directly correlates to what success is for you and how you
Yes.
should be creating it in your life. And when we chase after 6 figures because we're told to, or the bikini beach laptop lifestyle because we're told to, we're doing everything about who we are as a person a disservice.
Yeah.
And we are doing damage to our business.
Oh,
And we
absolutely.
have to stop. It just has to stop.
Yes.
It
Yes.
has to
And
stop.
well, and the outside world recognizes that and they can see when you're out of alignment and out of integrity of what you're building. So I want to talk a little bit about like the visibility side of things because
Mhm.
you mentioned about how you can be online without having to be online 24/7. And I think a
Yep.
lot of times as entrepreneurs, small businesses, they struggle with like the being online portion side of it because they're trying to be in like 20 different platforms and they're trying to be visible all the time. So can you maybe share a bit more about like your thoughts around like how someone can be online without having to be online all the time?
Yeah, so twofold. Part of it
Yeah.
is using AI automations and technology as it exists to make our lives easier, right? AI allows us to be more effective and efficient. We can use automations and AI tools to like take care of our clients and give them a magical experience without having to touch every single piece of the process now. That wasn't the case 5 years ago. I fell in love with AI to answer your earlier question through
Yeah.
content creation. I was writing content for a female entrepreneur association and I was responsible for creating 25 to 30 articles a month And to write that level of content by myself was insane. I was trying to get guest content
Yep.
contributed, but I was still responsible for doing like 15 to 20 articles. And there was no way for me to like do that and do anything else in my business. So I started with permission, started using AI tools because it allowed me to yes and the content
Yeah.
faster. And
Yeah.
then I started using it to like go a little further and add a little more and like expand and build. And I fell in love with it, and it quickly became something that I'm passionate about, something that I use very strategically and teach strategy around, but also allows me to be able to be online without being online.
Yes.
And so that automation and the AI is a big part of it. But the other piece of that is like how you're creating content and what kind of content you're creating. So
Yeah.
when we look at content creation and we talk about like lead generation and revenue generation without having to be like touching every single piece of it, we're looking at long form content.
Yeah.
And I define long form content as something that is searchable so people can find you from Google. So there's some SEO strategy inside of
Logic
this.
behind it.
But it also is a lengthy enough piece of content that you can take them from never having heard of you to building trust, showcasing your expertise, and offering them an opportunity to purchase that they're likely to follow through on
Yeah.
because you answered their question, solved the problem that they were searching for, while also
Yeah.
showing them the next problem and delivering a paid solution all in one podcast, article, YouTube video, Substack.
Blog even, right?
Yeah.
Like blogging would be considered like long form as well too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
blogging is and always has been for 15 years. My bae.
Yes.
Right, like hard eyes for blogging. And there was a time where it was like not fashionable as an entrepreneur because it was like, ugh, social media. Here's the thing, especially now more than ever, an Instagram post, a TikTok, a Facebook post, they have a shelf life of, if you're lucky, a couple days.
Yeah.
Every once in a while something will jump into the algorithm weeks or months after it's posted, but it's harder to convert, it's harder to build trust, it's harder to actually pull people deep enough into your
Yep.
world that they're ready to purchase.
Yep.
Plus, they kind of have to like stumble upon what you're doing, or you have to like hit the algorithm in a certain way that somebody new can find you. If you're creating content that can be searched, is keyword optimized, has all of the SEO and now AI, AEO, right? Which is artificial intelligence engine optimization, right? Now
Yeah.
ChatGPT can pull resources and recommend things
Yes.
for you. So now there's an additional thing we need to learn and put into practice. But if you can hit all of those earmarks, then you can, without being online, have a sale with no additional effort. The
Yeah.
other beautiful thing about content that's well written, strategic, and like answers all of the things that Google wants you to answer
Yes.
is it will serve you for years. And you also have the potential to make money off of just the content existing. So, my original lifestyle blog that I started in 2011 still exists, is still live, and still pays me because I have an ad network on my lifestyle
Yeah.
content. So I have recipes and crafts and DIYs. I did a lot of like handmade and gift ideas for men, projects like that, like little home projects and stuff. Pinterest loves me. That content still goes every once in a while, something will pick up and go a little bit viral. And
Yeah.
I make a couple $100 a month at a minimum from that just still existing
And you doing absolutely nothing with it.
and me doing absolutely nothing with it. I have not written new original content for that website probably since 2020.
And are you posting actively like on Pinterest then? Like for so that's all just
Yeah.
are you hearing this, guys? Like how amazing is that, right?
Yeah,
Like the
it's
fact that
it's
you're doing
become passive revenue. It costs
yeah.
me $50 a month to keep it like to pay for hosting,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Now, usually around like September, October, I'll throw out some of the pins for the more popular Christmas posts just to
Right,
be
which
like,
makes
ta-da!
sense because
But
that's just
like the
like
rest of the year, can't be
yeah.
bothered, don't have time, got
Yeah.
other things that are more important. Now, if I were to scrap every other business and just be like, you know what? I'm only doing one thing. I can only do one thing. My lifestyle blog would be the one thing.
Would still be the one thing.
And I would go back to creating regular crafts, regular recipes, little DIY home things. And it's called Busy Being Jennifer because it was really just about me being me and trying to figure out
Yeah.
life in Texas and being busy.
Yes.
Um, which, busy is not a word I love anymore, but like it's cute and
But it resonated with you,
it
but
works.
it's catchy though, right?
It's
So
catchy
yes.
and people are like, "Oh, what a cute email. I love that. That's
Yeah.
like so clever." Because it's easy to remember. And so that would be if I had to scrap everything else and like whoever was like, you know, one business, it would be that
Yeah.
because it's easy for me. Because it's
Yes.
literally just I'm already creative, I'm already crafty. I still do all of the things I was doing before. I just don't take 800 photos and write out the steps every and put it on in an article every time.
Right.
Um, but that would be the thing I would go back to because it checks a lot of boxes for me around how I want to live my life, how I want to feel when I'm running a business,
Yeah.
and like the experience I want to have on this planet, which is creative and like impactful and sharing just things. And I could probably pretty easily go back to running that with maybe 15 or 20 hours a week
Yeah.
and be making a couple $1,000s a month with low
Yeah.
effort because of the foundation that I built on. And it's not impossible to do now. You can have
Yeah.
a business blog based on the work that you do, and if you're answering the right questions and you're being of service and
Yeah.
helpful to the reader, you can monetize your content.
Yeah.
It's possible. You have to reach a certain number of like page views or some
Yeah.
metrics, but it's not complicated. It just requires a little bit of concentrated effort.
Right. And I think you bring up a good point too about like answering the right questions. And I think sometimes people get hung up on like, well, how do I do that? And it's like, well, do market research, have
Mhm.
conversations with people, right? Be part of communities because I think the more you talk about your business and the more you share what you have to offer, people start gravitating to you to ask you those questions. And then there's your content right there. I think we make
Yeah.
things so much harder sometimes than we need to because it's all right there in front of us. It's just you choosing to
Yeah.
believe and you choosing to make that decision to do it that way too.
Yeah, there is a business coach out of BC. Her name is Brenda Rigney, and she runs the Aligned AF community. And she posts in there almost daily, and asks. She does a poll that's
Yeah.
something that's relevant, and that's how she knows what she's going to be talking about the next week. She uses
Yeah.
polls in her community daily to just be like, what are you guys learning? What are you frustrated with? What are you focusing on? So that she knows what content to create to support her community, but also answer the questions people are already asking. So I've adopted that because I think it's brilliant, and I've been putting more
Absolutely.
polls in my Fempreneur Collective community because I want to know what's on, like what are people frustrated with visibility? Where are they not investing time? Where are they investing time? So I'm constantly asking questions that allow people to use one or two words to answer, or even better, a poll, because people will
Yeah.
click and just be like,
It's
yes or
easy. They're
no.
just like boom,
Yeah,
boom. Yep. They don't have to write anything. And I think that way too, they don't have to. A lot of times when you ask people, like, what's your opinion? Unless you're having a one-on-one conversation, people don't like to share it in public platforms where the poll, they'll easily like share their thoughts.
yeah. And if you make it like somewhat open-ended, people
Yeah.
will add ideas to the end or offer other poll suggestions if what
Yeah.
they are thinking about is not offered. But it's a great way to just read the room, find out what your community is
Yeah.
focused on, and then use that to target the right content. And when she told me she was doing that, I was like, duh,
Brilliant. Yeah.
brilliant. So I've adopted it because it makes sense,
Yeah.
and it's allowed me to tweak and target my content in such a way that it's supportive, it's
Yes.
helpful, and it's
Yes.
pointing people further down my funnel.
Well, and it's going to be more visible because you're
Yeah.
answering what people want
Yeah.
too,
Well, and
right?
then
So,
people engage, and then it goes a little
yes.
further, and then people engage in different
And
ways,
they
and it goes a
share
little
and they
further.
tell and yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what inspired you to create the Fempire community or a Fempreneur, sorry.
That was
I'm
okay.
not saying it properly, so yeah.
I mean, Fempire's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had thought of that first. But the Fempreneur Collective community was born out of a season of where I was really frustrated because I wasn't finding what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I had been part of a female entrepreneur association as the content editor and blog editor, and I had liked the community element of it, but I had a parting of ways around some of the values,
Yeah.
and core values are important to me in case we
Yeah.
hadn't made that clear. And so when the founder was like, "Hey, I want to start creating content around this specific stuff," I'm like, "You know what? That's not my wheelhouse. It's not really something that I'm super interested in. I'm also not American, so American politics mean nothing to me, and I don't feel
Yeah.
like I can write from a place of authority on that." So I decided to end my relationship there, and I really wanted another entrepreneur association to write for. Like I was
Yeah.
actively looking for something. And a friend and mentor that I trust, I had reached out to her to be like, "Do you know anyone who's hiring for this?" And she's like, "No." you're gonna have to elevate who you're networking with if you want to find that and be actually someone can afford to pay you your value.
You're right.
Like, or you could build it yourself and you could spend 6 to 12 months elevating your network and marketing and trying to find the right person, or you could spend 6 to 12 months doing it for yourself, keep all of the money, and build a community that you actually love. And
Yeah.
I went, son of a gun. I guess
Ah,
I'm gonna have to do it myself, right? Like,
yeah.
call me
Yeah.
Thanos, we're doing it ourselves. And so I did some market research. I went really deep on what I wanted the experience to be and how I wanted to be of service. And the Femmepreneur Collective came to life, and was officially released to the world in February of 2023 after about 6 months of like figuring it all out.
Yeah.
But the values there are collaboration first, community second, and really like making sure that we work together in a symbiotic relationship as a community to make sure that no one gets left behind, everyone
Yeah.
has the resources and the support that they need. And then my job is to make sure that everyone has access to the platform, like to
Yeah.
get on the stage and to shout to the rooftops what makes them uniquely magic. We talk a
Yes.
lot about the thing that makes them uniquely magical. And in my world, that is like that Venn diagram of who you are in your life experience, the
Yep.
training and experience you've had doing the work that you do, and then how you apply it in your business. In the middle there,
Yep.
there's that experience, your human experience and your work experience that gives you that pinpoint of
Yep.
what makes you uniquely special in a room full of, mindset coaches, social media managers, content creators, whatever.
Yeah.
You can stand out in the crowd if you really have honed into what makes you uniquely magical. And then I want to give you a microphone and a platform and a place to podcast about it, to write articles about it, to show up in the community as an expert around the thing that's uniquely yours, and to position yourself as an expert without having to go search for like 82,000 opportunities.
Yes.
I'm trying to find opportunities to bring to the community. I'm creating opportunities to bring to the community. And it's been this really magical like meeting of the minds. And our
Yeah.
networking calls often turn into mini think tanks where we're like problem solving and creating resources and solutions for whoever's like struggling or frustrated or needs an answer for something.
Yeah.
And it's become a really cool, magical little like,
Community. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's growing. Like we've grown
Yeah.
probably about 80 Facebook community members in the last 6 months. 40 of those just in the last month alone because I'm hitting it
Ye-
hard. Um
Yeah.
and we launched a visibility hub about 3 weeks ago. And that visibility hub is like an intersection of my brand strategy, my love of AI, and
Yeah.
visibility strategy, and just making it really easy to be able to create content consistently, to
Yeah.
be able to kind of like tell an overarching story and not just
Yeah.
being like random post, random post, random post.
Right.
There's a purpose. There's a method to my madness. And but still personalizing it to the point where like it sounds like you, it feels like you. It just happens to kind of be slightly similar to what I told you to talk about.
Right.
And then we do some extra calls. We do a CEO planning hour where you talk like for at the beginning of the month, you plan out your month and you think strategically, and we go through a couple of very specific areas and we
Yeah.
co-work and get it done so that we're being CEOs, not just business owners who are doing all of the things,
Absolutely.
solopreneurs,
You
right?
actually like doing the
Yeah.
work too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a think tank call for the community, and then I teach or have an expert come in and kind of like add some value to the
Yeah.
topic or the kind of the theme for the month. And I love it because it allows me to like think bigger but also smaller at the same time and
Yes.
really serve from a place of like expertise and power. And
Yeah.
so far, it's been great. People are loving
Yeah.
it. So it's really
That's
exciting for me.
amazing. That's awesome. I want to talk again about a bit more about AI for a second because I
Yeah.
know some people can be really intimidated by it, but I think it's the way the world's going, right? So for
It's
anyone who is like hesitant to like start using AI in their business, or there's always the argument they feel like AI doesn't sound like them. Like, what are some of your thoughts around that that you can share with our listeners as well too?
Yeah, so there is no maybe or ifs, ands, or buts. AI is the future.
Yeah.
And you've been using AI a lot longer than you realized, right? Facebook, Meta adopted AI technology a long time ago. It's only been in the last couple of years that it's been publicly accessible and affordable. So, it's already happening. It's already happening in your content, in your
Yes.
algorithm. You just weren't maybe
Weren't aware of it, maybe.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
maybe not fully aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
But now, as consumers, we can use AI to be more effective and efficient. And those are like the
Yeah.
two major reasons to use AI as a tool. The first and foremost thing I say when people are a little bit skeptical is it's a tool. You will get out of it what you put into it. And if you
Yeah.
become a master craftsman at AI, you will get epically beautiful master craftsman level results. If you are just, someone who picks up a hammer and punches holes in the wall, you're going to get hole in the wall content from
Yep.
AI. And the
Yep.
difference really is around understanding the tool, developing a strategy, and then making sure that your AI tool actually understands your business. There are so many places putting out just like, try these AI prompts.
Mm-hmm.
Yippee, frickin' skippy, my friend. You're going to get crap results if your AI tool doesn't know about your business. The
Yeah.
number one thing that I talk about when I talk about priming for your AI tool. And priming is really the process of making sure your tool intimately knows everything about your business. Is you need a base AI conversation. So I'm not sure. I don't use a whole lot of tools other than ChatGPT. I'm familiar with
Yeah.
them. I've executed things to make sure
Yeah.
that like my advice is good across the board.
Right. But I know, like, even so, I use Dubsado, I use ClickUp. Like, they all have AI integrated into those platforms as
Yeah.
well, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's pulling when you're using it integrated into a platform like that, it's pulling based off of like the Dubsado model. So it's
Yeah.
answering questions related to what Dubsado can do. When you're creating content with something like Claude or ChatGPT, you need to
Yeah.
have a base understanding. This is where having a brand book, I build brand books. It's one of my favorite things to do with my
Yeah.
clients is and it's like 82 pages long. It's intense. But it doesn't require 82 pages of effort from
Right.
the person who's getting the result. But the brand book talks about your tone, it talks about your style, it talks about legacy, it talks about core values and what those mean and what they look like and how they show up. And when your AI tool knows how you want to be perceived, what the legacy is you're building, what
Yeah.
impact you want to create in the world, then it understands like the practical side, like what are your offers, how do you do this, how do you serve,
Yeah.
what are your methodologies, what is your unique selling proposition. When you teach it the core of your business and the foundation that you want to build on, you can build the size skyscraper in 60 minutes.
That's
But
amazing.
it has to know these things in order to
Yes.
actually give you real feedback and real
Right.
data. And honestly, sometimes I have to tell ChatGPT to be a little mean to me because it's really complimentary and it won't tell me
Yes.
that I'm wrong unless I ask it to. So I've started in the last 6 months been like punch holes in this. Tell me where this is going to fail. Tell me what I need
Yeah.
to do to avoid that and actually have it thinking more critically, not like in a we're critical thinkers, but in a like look at this and pick it apart. Be critical about
Right.
what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And the results have been better. And the flows and what has come out of that has been more strategic and more intentional and with better results than if I was just like, tell me how to be a millionaire in the next 100 days. Because
Yes, that's such a
you.
good point. It does. It's very complimentary with like, you're doing a great job. And like,
Yeah.
here's all like this, right? But it's true. I've had to even ask it, like, what am I missing? What have I done wrong here? Like, where are the loopholes kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been like, don't be nice to me. Be straight, like
Yeah.
be straight. Give it to me
Yeah.
straight. Pretend like you're my best friend that doesn't hold any punches and just
Yeah.
deliver the like what I need you to deliver. And you can do that when you understand how to like tell ChatGPT to communicate with you.
Yeah.
My business partner is just mean to ChatGPT, whereas I'm like I may not say please and thank you all of the time, but the way I structure my sentences is a little bit nicer. I always joke it's because when AI takes over the world, I
I know.
actually want it to like remember that I was nice to it in the early stages and I didn't like boss it around and like yell at it and tell it it was
I
stupid.
know.
Um,
I do that, and I've heard from so many other people. Maybe it's just the people that I talk to in a track, but so many other people also use please and
yeah.
thank you because it's like I don't want to be taken out by a robot one day. So
Funny story though. OpenAI, I didn't read the whole article. I just read the headline. It could have been clickbait, but OpenAI was talking about how saying please and thank you to ChatGPT sucks up so much energy because it has to
Oh.
process words. So if you just say please and thank you at the beginning of an end of every sentence, you're like killing kilowatts of energy.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, didn't even consider that.
no,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
didn't either, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's true because it has to process every word, and we don't
Yeah.
recognize that, like, the server farms are, like, sucking dry, like, the coal mines or whatever however the heck
Yeah.
power is made." We don't think about it. We don't think about it because it's just instant, it's the internet.
Yeah.
Um, but every once in a while, when ChatGPT is being really slow, I'm like, "Someone's saying please and thank you too much.
Yeah.
Results are coming in too slowly."
Oh,
But,
that's too
yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like we've chatted about so much today, and I want to thank you for being here and sharing so much around like the core values and how people can integrate AI into their business and being visible. I think you've brought so many amazing topics and perspective here today. So I'll be sure to include in the show notes where people can find you, and that you have your own podcast as well too that they can listen to. So I'll make sure to link that as well. But for our listeners, is there any last like tips or parting words that you'd want to share?
Yeah. Um, hmm, so many thoughts. I think what I would like to say is visibility doesn't have to be hard. And you don't have to be hard on yourself about being visible. Just show up in a way that feels authentic and then find what works for you so that you can be consistent. You don't have to be on Instagram 82 times a day. You don't have to have 62 stories and 3 reels and 400 feed posts. You just have to be consistent with what works for you. So if it's stories Monday, Wednesday, Fridays and like 1 or 2 feed posts throughout the week, do it because it's way easier to be consistent with what feels good for you. And visibility is built in layers. And when you can get consistent and people know what to expect from you and how to approach you because you continually to show up in the same way, they're much more likely to. And it doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be, would be my final words.
Awesome. Great parting words. Thank you so much for sharing.